We've been on the 3rd gen Lexus IS for about over a decade, since about 2013 the 3rd gen debuted, and we've had 2 refresh. This is actually, I think, the 3rd refresh of the Lexus IS in this 3rd generation. And we got some cool new styling, updates to the interior, updates to the suspension. We're gonna go over all that today. If you guys are excited, I really appreciate you hitting that like button. Thanks for sticking around. This news came out, I think, last night. I've been traveling all day. It takes forever to get from Florida to California. If you're wondering why I'm here, Nissan Leaf test drive or first drive, and I'm so, like, my channel is so old with Nissan, meaning I've been with them for a long time, that the luxurious fleet, if you guys remember when I started this channel, it was Luxurious Kirk, and then I just turned it to Kirk Rifles, and then like you guys, the community, were the Luxurious Fleet. If you guys remember that, put it in the comments. I would appreciate it. But we have a lot to cover with this next generation. It's not next gen, a next refresh of this 3rd gen IS. They call it the maturation of the compact FR. Japan uses FR a lot, means front engine, rear wheel drive. The sports sedan has continued to pursue the pleasure of driving and sporty design. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is actually break down the design. And then what better way to do that is comparing it to the old IS, or should I say 2025 model year, for example. But I wanted to start with this. This is so fascinating. If you guys remember, it might have been about a year and a half ago, MagX, one of the scoop sites from Japan, was saying, hey, the new IS is, well, it's getting a refresh. They're going to kill the V8. We'll talk about that here in a second, if they are going to kill the V8 or not. But this is the design at the bottom that they said it was likely to have. They're like, hey, it's going to take some of that GR Corolla styling and blend it into the front end of the IS. And look how pretty close they were. I'm really impressed. Now, this little blade in the front isn't as prominent on the new one, and the spindle grille has just really been smashed down. All right, compared to the outgoing model, the headlights are exactly the same, and they moved the Lexus emblem up. All right, and MagX also called, if you recall, that they got rid of the Lexus emblem in the back and they went to the font in the back. Wordmark, is that what you guys tell me? I can't ever remember what it's officially called, but I want to go over the front end versus front end of these 2 ISs, okay? I keep using my mouse, and my mouse is working on like a glass table, and the magazines that I'm trying to use as a mouse pad are just like bugging out on me. So I'm just going to use my trackpad. All right, so looking at these 2 models, officially the IS 500 below and the new 26 IS 350 above. And we have blacked out mirrors. This is like, they call this a different paint color, but we would call this paint color incognito. All right, let me know. I honestly don't know which one I like more. They chopped off the top end, or you could say just really radically shrunk the spindle grille here. Now, the pattern of the spindle grille is also a little different, but you can still see that it is intact, I guess you could say. All right, so it's really been pushed down, smashed down, and has been widened, or seemingly widened, because it's not as tall. And it has a little bit more aggressive edges at the side and at the bottom. Let me know which design. I saw some of you guys in the comments saying, oh, the IS looks worse now. I don't know. I really want to see it in person to be able to tell you which looks worse or better. I think it still looks good, but yeah, I'll see you guys in the comments of which front end you think looks worse or better. All right, looking at the back of the IS, this spoiler, I don't remember this spoiler before. It's obviously black instead of paint matched. The Lexus word font there, IS 350. So we're looking at a rear wheel drive here, which has an 8-speed auto. Black fin antenna, but the rear taillights look to be exactly the same. Look at these wheels. This is what I'm talking about. Now, the old wheels were fine, but these, how they match the paint color, looks so good. Look at the completely blacked out window surrounds. You know how long that took? If I bring back up Some IS, this is a 24 IS, oh, I don't have internet. I mean, look at it, this is an IS 350F Sport. And look at the silver, this is a 24 model, just to give you an idea. And they had like this stupid silver chromey thing on the mirrors. I'm like, man, that doesn't look good. And then they also had it around the window edges. I'm like, that doesn't look good. And so we now have a fully blacked out mirror and fully blacked out window surround like we saw in the IS 500. But what is this? This is a new F Sport logo. I haven't read the press release yet, what this little F Sport logo means. Man, I think it looks good. I'm really liking this front end, at least from this angle. From front on, I'm not so sure, but from this angle, you know, some people were saying it looks like a little Avalon TRD. Hey, I don't know if it's that ridiculous how wide this is, but I think it looks good. I don't think it, I think it's a side grade if anything. But yeah, what is this F Sport logo? Look at this. It has no variance in it. It's all silver. All right, in the past, F Sport has had a white background, and then F Sport Performance had a black background. And the Sport sometimes had a different coloring to it. No, this is all silver now, all monochrome. So that's a big departure from what we've seen in the past. Guys, you want to talk about departure of what we've seen in the past? You want to talk about interiors right now? All right, check this out. All of us are familiar with this touchpad and the Sport knob here. Well, they've kept the Sport knob, which I'm a huge fan of, because in a lot of like NX, RX, they got rid of the Sport knobs. And when you want to change driving modes, you have to fly through the touchscreen. It's a joke, so I don't even play with it. I like this kind of camouflage finish here instead of this matte black. Looks good. Volume knob, not looking good here. I have a scroll wheel for volume. It's better than a button. It's better than a button or in the touchscreen scroll wheel. Like, this is very Genesis to have a scroll wheel. Volume knob is still superior to this, and I think you guys would agree. Real buttons for heated and ventilated seats, but they're in a better position. They were back here, all right? And it still has the same shifter. I'm okay with that. I like this shifter. I've always liked how it felt. In this area behind the shifter, they now have a wireless charger, all right, and 2 USBs here. No Mark Levinson. There's no CD. CD player is gone. All right, but man, it would have been nice to have a volume knob there. Now we have interior versus old interior, new interior on top. Well, the circular vents, that was a part of the 2022 refresh. They got some interesting shapes on these vents now. There's no more stitching on the dash. That is not good, in my opinion. Let me know, do you guys want the stitching on the dash? But hey, hold on, I was too quick to judge because they moved the stitching down. Look, the stitching is lower on the dash now instead of being higher on the dash. All right, let's check out this climate control. This is actually a win. Believe it or not, this climate control's a win. The old IS had these slidey bars. That's what I call them. I don't know if there's an official name for them, but the slidey bar touch capacitive was kind of annoying. And it, you know, yes, you had these big blocky buttons here, but this is better. I have fan speed control right next to my temperature control switches. Really, really happy with this climate control setup here on the new IS. So let's zoom back. What else do we have? Let's go to the screen. Well, the vents are smaller here, but they're at about the same spot. So cooling should be about the same. Start button has moved lower. Let's talk about this screen to screen. They're both 12-inch screens as it appears. I haven't read the press release yet, okay? But where are the hazards now? Okay, they moved the hazards to right between the vents. Okay, that's a good spot for it, I guess. The clock's gone. You know, I'm gonna mourn the clock forever. The clock was a part of Lexus. I've already accepted the death of the clock alongside the death of CD players. It's kind of like, you know, hand in hand at that point. But we'll talk more about this screen here in a little bit, but let's talk steering wheel. New steering wheel. Now, the old steering wheel, I didn't have any issues with. Is it still the same layout? No, this is more of like an RX. This looks more like an RX steering wheel. Old steering wheel is better. Look at the wood on it. Old steering wheel is better. What do you guys think? Now, the buttons might be a little bit more intuitive. The paddle shifters still there, a little bit different now. Now, this steering wheel might look a little bit better. This rounded steering wheel looks pretty dated at this point, but I don't know. I might be leaning towards the old steering wheel, especially with the better trimmings here with the wood that you could get on it. Now, here's the full screen. What do you guys think? I think I'm done comparing it versus the old model. Now I want to get into what are some of the things that seem different here. Well, there's a new screen behind the steering wheel, and look at this, eyeball sensor. Not happy about that. That comes with Lexus Safety Sense 3.0 with front cross traffic alert. It also has like traffic jam and driver monitor, which is all trash. And it's subscription based anyways, and it'll yell at you if you have your hand on top of the steering wheel. So if you're riding like this, it's going to yell at you. Even if you disable it, oftentimes it re-enables itself next time you turn on the car. It's just frustrating. Hopefully they fixed that. All right, but we no longer have the slidey gauges. Yes, we had slidey bars with climate control. On the old one, we had the slidey gauge that was inspired by the LFA. That's how old this car is, where the gauges would slide left and right. Does the LC500 do that? I'm trying to remember. I know the RC did. All right, but yes, new screen back there. And this is the same sort of screen that we have on like a Camry or a RAV4. Same software, maybe a little bit different animations. All right, here's sport mode, for example. You have a cool rev counter here, tachometer, digital tachometer, manual mode. Ooh, ambient lighting. And this is aggressive ambient lighting. I mean, in the dash, in the shifter well, in the footwells. But is it on the doors? I don't see it on the doors, all right? That Kaizen mentality, look at all these improvements they made with rigidity, spot welds, LSW, is that an adhesive? I'm not sure. Or laser screw welding, there you go. Spot welding, more adhesives, that's pretty cool. All right, we'll talk more about the suspension improvements here in a little bit, but cool diagrams. Not sure what that is, but I'm excited to. Is this going to be like a new sound enhancement thing for the intake? That might be pretty cool. I got to read about that. Digital rearview mirror is an option now. Okay, look at these wheels, man. Big fan. Do you like the red and the black? Here's this new material that they have in there. All right, let's read about it. Let's get in the press release. The new model will be released in various regions starting early 2026. Since the first model was released in 1999, the IS has pursued the joy of driving. It has sold over 1.3 million units in over 40 countries globally. It has been tuned at the Toyota Technical Center at Shimoyama. That's where all new Lexuses are being developed. This says this model is available in just two variants, IS300H and IS350. Now, that MagX article from a year and a half ago, they said, hey, it's going to be IS500 and IS300H. Well, again, keep that in mind, that's for the Japanese market. Two variants. Does this mean when we get this model here, if we get this model, it's not guaranteed that we're getting this. First of all, I should preface that. Does that mean this model is coming to the US? I would say there's a really good chance, of course. They have nothing to replace it stateside. So I would assume it's coming, but will we get a 300H? And the answer is highly unlikely. This powertrain is really outdated, even on this IS. We've never had an IS hybrid stateside, and I don't think we will until maybe a full redesign. But is that going to be fully electric? Who the heck knows? Now, IS350, that was rumored to be the one being discontinued, all right? And then they would keep the IS500. But we know that the Pinnacle Edition, the Final Edition, the Climax Edition, whatever these editions are called, all right, depending on your region of the IS500, it might be done. You got to keep in mind, just because it's done for Japan doesn't mean it's done for the US. But the chances are probably not good for the IS500. Rest in peace, 5-liter V8. I'm not ready to stick a fork in it yet. I'm not ready to put it 6 feet under yet, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, so they have improved the vehicle's steering feel and stability. We have a electric power steering with a variable gear, which reduces the steering angle at intersections and rapid curves, thoroughly pursuing a more comfortable steering feel. We also have the adoption of linear solenoid type AVS or adaptive variable suspension and achieving both high-level vehicle stability and road shock reduction, resulting in an even more comfortable driving experience. The V6 350, the 3.5 liter 2GR engine, it continues on. All right, so around 311 horsepower. You can still get it in rear-wheel drive with the 8-speed auto or all-wheel drive with a 6-speed auto. Again, don't expect the IS300 stateside, I mean the IS300H. Is it possible Lexus discontinues the IS300 for the US market, the lesser powerful V6 all-wheel drive IS300 or the turbo? And the answer is absolutely, because that engine, that 2.0 turbo, the 8AR FTS I think is what it's called, that engine's really old for Toyota and Lexus, and they don't use it in anything other that I'm aware of than this car. That old 2-liter turbo that used to be in the NX200T, for example. They've all moved on to a 2.4 turbo, all right? And luckily, the IS has not moved on to a 2.4 turbo. Now, for the US market, could the IS350 V6 be the only option? And it's possible. Look, with tariffs, maybe they're looking to reduce the amount of configurations, but this sort of planning all has been going on for a long time, so I don't think it has anything to do with tariffs. All right, IS300H, highly unlikely, highly unlikely it comes to the US. All right, because it wouldn't last very long. It'd last 2-3 years and they would kill it off. Before I allow you guys to leave, we have 109 comments on the post I had. So I want to address some of these comments, and there's a few that are really thought-provoking. So let's get into it. Thank you guys for commenting on my post. You guys rock. Most of you were saying that the interior looks good. Some of you have been saying, hey, I've been holding out for a long time, and they think that they might finally upgrade their IS. Like this guy is an 06 IS350. He's not that happy about the drivetrain hump and the all-wheel drive still sticking into your legs. That's probably going to carry over here. Looks like a Corolla on the front, maybe like a GR Corolla a little bit. A lot of people in the UK are pissed because you guys don't get it over there. I hear you. Australia doesn't get it anymore either. Daniel's not going to be trading in his IS500 for one. I wouldn't either, especially if there's no IS500 this time around. Are we getting the hybrid version? Now the hybrid version is around 240 horsepower. It's rear-wheel drive. It's a CVT, and it's an older engine, older 2.5 liters. So like the chances of it coming, I think, are slim to none here in the United States, and maybe Toyota has something better planned if you want a hybrid, performance hybrid. Another, I don't know if this is the same Daniel. No, it's a different Daniel. Shout out to all the Daniels out there. This Daniel says, hey, I thought the IS was getting a full redesign on the electrified sedan concept. That car was gorgeous. Well, I'll put the gorgeous one up on the screen, then I'll also put the LFZC. More than likely, the LFZC is coming because they trademarked ZC. In America, they trademarked Lexus, ZC and ZC. Now, could they use that older concept from 2021? I hope so, because it looks infinitely better than the LFZC origami hard crease mess. All right, but time will tell. We'll find out this fall, or should I say next month at the Japan Mobility Show. And this is probably the last one I'm going to comment on. Ant Just Too Real says, can we just get the new 2-liter turbo with this with an option for manual? That sounds amazing. I agree. I feel like the 2-liter turbo engine, and this is going to be kind of a lengthy answer here, the 2-liter turbo is not ready quite yet. It is going to be ready in things like the MR2 or Celica, whatever they call it. And it is going to be in the new 8.6, but it won't be the turbo, it'll just be the naturally aspirated version. Now, the 2-liter turbo has really high scalability. They can get tons of power out of it, 400 horsepower easy out of that engine. Would that be good for the IS? And the answer is absolutely. Now there's always a possibility with a new Supra that they could be working on an inline 6. Now, I think they need an inline 6. It's way better than the catastrophe that is the twin turbo V6 and the Tundra and the Sequoia and the Land Cruiser. And we don't know how much or how many more recalls could still come out on that engine at different models in different years. All right, so an inline 6, new redesign with this sort of technology from the 2-liter, but now it'd be a 3-liter inline. It would be their new JZ engine, 3JZ. Okay, Toyota could do it. Are they going to do it? I don't know. Would that be awesome to have a JZ back in the IS? Remember the original IS 300s had the JZ engine, 2JZ, or was it the 1JZ? I think it was the 2JZ. And so it's just unfortunate that Lexus went V6. Well, should I say, the 2GR is a great engine, but the twin-turbo V6, the V35A FTS, is that what it is? That engine has been problematic for Toyota. All right, so I wish we had an inline-6. I feel like a 2-liter turbo could come to the IS, but it wouldn't be in the shell that we have right now. The problem is like they don't know how long the IS is going to stick around. They keep refreshing it. They keep improving it. They made big improvements. I would say noticeable improvements to the steering, the suspension, to the rigidity. You don't do that if you just plan on the car being around for another year or two and then replace it with the next generation gas model. So I think a next generation gas model IS, if it comes out, it could be fully battery electric, but knowing Lexus and Toyota, they would have a combustion engine IS and then a battery electric, because that's just what they do. They hedge their bets with technology, and they're able to do it because they're the world's largest car company. They can kind of take the risk or the more conservative gamble and play both hands, the gas/hybrid hand and the battery electric hand, depending on the market and whatever governments decide to do and market demand. So 2-liter turbo, it could come to the IS, not in the sort of IS generation we have. It would have to be in a new Supra platform. Okay, we know that the Supra and the next generation Lexus Coupe are supposed to share the same bones together, but Lexus likes to scale things. So more than likely that they would make a new IS family, internal combustion, off the same platform of the Supra and the new SC, Lexus SC, or whatever they call it. All right, LC replacement, RC replacement. All right, so that I'm going to say is potentially in the works. A 2-liter IS turbo, that would be potentially the base IS. Let's say the base IS 2-liter turbo, 300 horsepower, and then they could have a 400 horsepower variant, and then they could have twin turbo V8 with a new transmission that is going to LFR. That might be too costly, but they could all, if they're really going to do an inline-6 on the Supra, it would likely also be seen in the IS. Again, Lexus is having a second birth, a rebirth at the Japan Mobility Show. I have my tickets booked for Japan, late October. It's right before Halloween. I'll be giving you guys my hands-on impression with these cars with my good friend David Chow as we once again tackle the Japan Mobility Show. And Lexus is going to have some really cool stuff. Battery electric is a guaranteed. Are we going to see twin turbo V8? New dedication to inline 4s, inline 6s. I could only wish, hope, and pray. But stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you guys. I appreciate all your comments, and have a great day. Peace.